Dirty Dan. I don't know what you mean. I'm Dirty Dan.
It's absolutely amazing.
I'm Dirty Dan.
Whoa, Dirty Dan.
Disney was warned for years that their live-action remake of Snow White would be an abysmal failure. They ignored the warnings and instead made every wrong decision possible, leading to a box office bomb. Theaters around the world are empty. The film sold 50% less than they projected. It earned a 1.6 out of 10 star rating on IMDb, a 20% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, the CGI dwarves will give you nightmares, and the little people they replaced with CGI have filed a class action lawsuit against
The little people they replaced with CGI, so they couldn't even get no real life little people actors like the little more Peter Dinklages. Damn, that's tough.
against Disney. Walt Disney himself is turning in his grave because he personally requested that the company should never change, alter, or remake Snow White, but they did it anyway by casting Rachel Zegler, who insisted that they change the entire film to make it more politically correct. Rachel called the original Prince Charming a stalker, insisted that Snow White was not yearning for love, but actually dreamed of being a leader. Rachel also demanded she be paid more for, quote, standing in a dress for 18 hours. Zegler created so much controversy that Disney had to hire a personal security detail for her co-star Gal Gadot because of the countless death threats she was receiving. This movie is an absolute dumpster fire, and Rachel's response to the film bombing proved that everyone's suspicions about her were correct.
I'm a narcissist.
And yet none of that has anything to do with why people were suspicious about Rachel Zegler in the first place. In 2018, Rachel's friends sent her a tweet about an open casting call for Steven Spielberg's film adaptation of West Side Story. So 16-year-old Zegler recorded and submitted an audition tape.
Bernardo and Anita argue all morning about a fight that's gonna happen tonight?
Now, she was definitely a promising young talent. She spent her childhood acting in countless plays and developed an impressive singing voice. Rachel was just one of 30,000 who auditioned for the role of Maria. Without any professional acting experience, an agent, or connections in Hollywood, she was selected for the lead role. Her performance earned critical acclaim, and she went on to win the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. The industry plant accusations were formed because some people simply do not believe that a no-name actor could get this lucky. She was basically hand-selected by Steven Spielberg. Then again, with the entertainment industry being flooded with nepo babies and people born into immense wealth, Rachel being essentially a random girl from New Jersey securing an A-list role actually might be a step in the right direction for Hollywood. However, they may have chose the wrong girl, because her inability to keep her politically charged opinions to herself started to cause problems for Disney executives. As if West Side Story wasn't already a massive introduction to Hollywood, her next role was even bigger, one that could set her up for a lifetime of success, and that was being cast as Snow White in Disney's live-action remake of the classic. Rachel chose to make this monumental announcement on Twitter where she wrote, "Yes, I am Snow White. No, I am not bleaching my skin for the role." Rachel deleted this tweet shortly after sending
Bitch, who asked you to? You're literally the normal complexion. You know what I'm saying? The fuck? Did anyone ask her to do that? Or is she just assuming people were gonna say, hey, you should be white? Huh?
it out to the world. However, the reason she brought up her skin color in the first place was to address the criticism she was receiving online. In the original fairy tale and the 1937 animated film, Snow White is depicted as having skin as white as snow. It is quite literally the inception of the princess's identity. But Rachel Zegler is of Colombian descent and has more of an olive skin tone. Now, there definitely were some extreme takes, suggesting that Disney is evil and only casting POC characters to cause outrage. There were also some blatantly racist takes, but most people were just genuinely confused why Snow White wasn't going to be white. And this does seem to be a recurring theme for Disney these days. The original 1999 animation of The Little Mermaid depicted Ariel as a white woman, whereas the 2023 live-action remake...
I was just talking about that too. Just talking about that.
cast Halle Bailey as Ariel, who is African American. And yes, this film was also accused of pandering, trying to change something that was a non-issue in the first place. However, defenders pointed out that mermaids don't have a race because they are not real. Normally, these controversies lead to failure, but the film grossed over $560 million worldwide and made a solid profit. But Zegler insisted that the Snow White remake was based on an alternative version of the story, one that doesn't have to do with her skin color. She said, "It fell back to another version of Snow White that was told in history, where she survived a snowstorm that occurred when she was a baby, and so the king and queen decided to name her Snow White to remind her of her resilience. One of the core points in our film for any young woman or young person is remembering how strong you actually are. And while this may seem like a small nuance that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, it was an insight into the major changes that were coming next, because the more..."
So let me get this straight. She was let me test this. Oh, you're really here? Yeah, I'm reading, see? I'm replying back to everything you just said. So let me get this straight. She read the original story and didn't see an alternate version of the same story, and decided that the alternate version was the real version and the one Disney should run with, or the narrative they should run with.
The more Zegler talked about the film, the more it seemed like it was going to be a disaster, particularly in this Variety interview where she talked about how she and the writers are giving Snow White a modern twist.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince. She's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Snow White dreams of being a leader? Why not write a totally new story instead of
then why not make a new story then?
It has nothing to do with Snow White.
Don't call it Snow White.
There is nothing wrong with dreaming about true love. But people were not overreacting in the comments. Zegler supported stripping this classic story of its roots.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There is a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
What's something only you know?
Rachel's tone might come off silly to some, but it is evidently so sarcastic.
Something only I know?
Referring to Prince Charming as a stalker is inaccurate and disrespectful. We are not talking about just any Disney film. We are talking about the first ever full-length animated feature film in history. This is quite literally Walt Disney's baby. Now, people are already a little apprehensive towards the countless remakes of Disney classics, but Rachel's lack of class and grace pushed anyone who was even a little open-minded away. Despite that, she continued to express her disdain.
I know I need to go check my mailbox because I think my bonnets are here. The ones I was just talking about the other day.
So serious. I watched it once, never revisited Snow White again.
What's interesting about Rachel claiming to be scared of the original film is that she also said the exact opposite during her press tour, showing pictures of her as a child in her Snow White dress and how she always dreamed as a little girl of being this princess. This constant flip-flopping along with her sarcastic tone just soured people's perception of her. But not only did she seem unappreciative of a Disney classic, she also made some interesting comments about her next role as Anthea in Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
What made you want to step into this world of DC heroes?
I needed a job. I'm being so serious.
While yes, even actors have bills to pay and need a job to do that, some interpreted the remark as snarky and annoying. Now, to be fair, later in the interview, Rachel does go on to express her gratitude for receiving this role, considering it was only her second Hollywood film ever. But her unapologetic attitude on the red carpet continued to stir the pot, and she just kept making it worse, specifically during the writer's strike of 2023. The Writers Guild of America represents thousands of writers writers in film, TV, radio, and online media. They are the backbone of Hollywood's content. Despite their importance, Hollywood executives restructured the industry to drastically reduce residual payments, leaving most writers with little to no income after their work is uploaded to apps like Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max,
which is heavier.
So the guild went on a strike to renegotiate and push for higher pay. Rachel Zegler also used her voice to support the strike.
If I'm gonna stand there for 15 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
She's like everything people hate about this generation distilled into a single person. At this point, I'm sure you are noticing a pattern. While we hope that deep down Rachel's intentions are pure, and we hope that she truly is just trying to have an overall positive impact on the world, she has a terrible way of expressing her opinions, as her tone often comes off as disrespectful. Having 2 movies under her belt and already aggressively demanding higher pay came off extremely entitled, especially considering the strike was mostly for writers, because main characters, like Zegler, are often compensated extremely generously. By this point, her reputation was at an all-time low, and there were even rumors circulating that Disney was going to axe this film, as countless people expressed that Rachel Zegler is the sole reason that they would not go to watch the movie. But then somehow, Disney managed to make things even worse. They announced that they would be changing Snow White's 7 dwarves to the more politically correct Snow White's diverse group of magical creatures of all sizes and genders. Photos of the cast were leaked onto the internet, which sparked outrage. These look like medieval times reenactors at the local fair. Disney quickly responded and said that these were not pictures of the actual set, but nobody believed them. The only reason Disney planned on changing the dwarves in the first place was because of a comment made by Hollywood star Peter Dinklage, who felt that the new rendition of the movie was not progressive enough.
I was a little taken back by they're very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White.
Yeah.
But you're still telling the story of Snow White.
You're still telling the story of Snow White.
Step back and look at what you're doing there.
Yeah.
You know. That makes no sense to me.
Well,
you're progressive in one way, but you're still making that backward story of 7 dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man?
Even though Peter Dinklage has built an illustrious Hollywood legacy with countless roles as a little person, he seemed pretty upset with Disney. They promptly responded that they would avoid reinforcing stereotypes and would be consulting with members of the dwarfism community to make the 7 characters more inclusive. Most people just looked at this as Disney once again pandering to another social issue,
but a problem that was never a fucking problem, bruh. It's Snow White and the 7 dwarves. Just give us a regular white bitch actress and 7 little people, and just write the story that we all know. That's literally all we asked. We didn't ask for anything different. If you're gonna make Snow White, make Snow White, bruh. That's it. It doesn't matter. Even if you do want to change it into a Latino, black, or whatever, just keep the story the same. That's really it. I think the actress is only, she is kind of annoying, I ain't gonna lie. Now that I'm learning about her just from this 10 minutes, she is seem like, damn, bitch, you are kind of entitled. And it's cool to have an opinion, but if you're gonna if you're casted for a role of a specific movie, we're making that specific movie. There's no reason for you to modify anything. If you do, we're making another movie. So we can't call it Snow White if we're gonna make it, she's a warrior and she's trying to be a leader. A leader of what? Who is she leading? She has an army or something? So, you know what I'm saying? It's not Snow White. We gotta call this shit something else. And then maybe people would have been like, all right, I'm not gonna hate on this so much because it's not Snow White. But they're probably not gonna watch it either because we want to see Snow White.
What often happens when trying to please everyone for the sake of being
and they do this already
you
with
end up pleasing
the Hunters.
No one.
I believe so.
It's pretty much you're
I believe so.
jobs that people could have as little people.
It's also what I was saying too, bro. You could have had Wee Man in there, Peter. Damn, there's a couple. I don't know that many little people actors, but nigga, they could have real live action. They could have all had their own like personality type shit. Honestly, they kind of fucked that movie up, but I feel like they can still redeem themselves, bro. They just need to actually, you know, do that shit right. Like actually have like Peter in there, Wee Man. Is the little nigga from the little nigga who played Mini-Me in Austin Powers, is he still alive? The little short black nigga, the little I'm trying to think of all dumbass, what's good, HR? I'm trying to think of all my favorite little people. Pause, I know that's crazy. Oh, the little small black nigga from Friday. He funny as shit. Man, they could have did. Yo, yeah, they was hoeing. They was hella. Now that I'm thinking about it, I know a lot of little people actors. Man, hell yeah. They could have named. They could have had a whole lot of people. They could have had a whole lot of people.
No, you straight. Straight.
I ain't hear that sound in a minute either. Just chilling. But
yo, good. Oh.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah.
It's 4 dwarfs.
Disney was panicking.
hold on. Again, talk to him, we man. Talk to him. Also, we just doing reactions right now. It's saying we doing the Snow White one now. Why everybody hates that movie. You know, how it destroyed a Disney classic. I didn't even know anything about the actress. That's the nigga from Bad Santa. That little, yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Yeah, is he the same nigga that played in Friday? Or is that a different little nigga? But yeah, him too, if they're two different people. Man, they could have had a hella, like, you know, little people as the dwarves in Snow White. That would have been funny too. Imagine all them little niggas in the cave. But, you know what I'm saying? Bruh. Yo, that would have been comedy. I mean, it probably would have been funny. Nah, it would. Let's continue. But it would have been funny.
What they're doing is
he the same, I think. I thought so too.
You're replacing jobs that people could have as little people. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it's 4 dwarfs.
Disney was panicking for a solution to make both sides happy, and nobody could have predicted how bad their solution to this problem would be. Instead of casting real actors, Disney...
And see, the thing is, I know all the dwarves were technically white, but shit, even if y'all wanted to be inclusive, y'all could have had different colored dwarves. You know what I'm saying? Black ones and white ones and shit. You know what I'm saying? It could have been the same shit, except without this weird ass CGI shit. You know what I'm saying? Someone edited the actress and oh, that was funny. I've been seeing that. They've been editing her ass and a whole bunch of slow shit. I seen her singing Lifestyle, the Young Thug John. I seen her talking, well, like voicing over the Forrest Gump shit. That shit is hilarious. I've been seeing that shit too, bro. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's why I was just like, bro, let me get on this reaction because I've been seeing her slow ass on like IG or whatever.
Disney decided to eliminate them and use CGI dwarves instead, which will provide enough nightmare fuel to last you the rest of 2025.
You seen that Lifestyle one too?
The dwarves look like scary monsters, not cute.
Man, it's crazy. They don't even look like not all of them was fat. I think only 2 of the dwarves was fat. Like, why is it like 1, 2, 3? I was like 3 of them fat. You can't even tell whose is who. They all just look like generic dwarves, and one just looks a little older. Yeah, they kind of did shit on this.
Cute, charming.
I didn't even watch it for real, but damn.
Friends. The overuse of CGI in this film allowed them to take shortcuts. Instead of creating detailed artistic sets and costumes, they relied on animation, which made the film feel cheap.
Y'all want me to put this on? Y'all watch this shit while I take a nap or something? Whenever I get tired, when we do Nicky nap time? Because this shit looks abysmal. Like, you can't even tell whose is who, bruh. The other favorite one is mine when she ordered. Oh yeah, y'all got biscuits. Oh yeah, I did see that. One. That shit is hilarious.
Cheap, hollow, and soulless. Like, wasn't this supposed to be a live-action remake?
I ain't got no biscuits in there.
Why is there so much CGI? Why does it look like a really bad cartoon? Additionally, the significance of the dwarves to the story was drastically reduced. Grumpy and Dopey got a decent amount of screen time, while the other 5 dwarves were barely shown enough for the viewers to be able to distinguish them from one another.
I was just saying that. Like, bro, how can you even tell who the fuck is who? Y'all look like the same generic John.
Ironically, all of these decisions were made to avoid
kinda
backlash from the dwarfism community, and now the little people who were removed from the film are now planning a class action lawsuit against Disney for replacing them with cartoons. This is so ridiculous. Actress Allie Chapman,
as
who
they
is
should,
3
though.
foot 8 inches tall, said, 7 talented little people actors could have played these roles in the live-action remake, and yet they chose to use cartoons. It's an insult and discriminatory.
Dead ass, dog. I'm not even gonna hold you. Cause like we was already naming some that we know. Midget wrestling. Actually, there is I've seen that. It was called Micro. I think it was called the MWF, the Micro Wrestling Federation or some shit like that. I was actually watching that shit. We was like doing I don't know if they still have it or if it's been discontinued or whatever. But it was back in the day. Like me, Snipes, Tay was around. We would watch these little people wrestle. It was basically like, you know, WWE, like Raw. But it was for all little people. And these niggas was like, they was banging out though, I ain't gonna lie. These little niggas all had like their own little thing, you know, personality and their characters or whatever. It was micro wrestling. Had their own little, you know, little ring and shit, you feel me? Yeah, it was... Oh, I ain't gonna lie. It was amazing. It was funny as shit. Watching them little niggas fuck each other up, bro. I'm not gonna hold you. That was a good time. That was a good time. I would go to one. Me too. Bro, in real life? What? Bro, you know that shit gotta be lit. But nah, it's like, them niggas is really athletes. Them little niggas be going crazy. Them niggas be going crazy, bro.
You ever see one of those tragic situations where it's extremely foggy and there's a traffic jam on the highway and you have cars speeding into the fog just crashing into each other? That is this film. And surely it couldn't get any worse, right? Wrong, because now there was a major dispute between the 2 stars of the film, Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler. Fans noticed sometime between 2023 and 2024 that Gal and Rachel may have developed some tension. As you can see in this interview, Gal is being professional, looking and smiling while Zegler is speaking. But whenever Gal is speaking, Zegler refuses to look at her, often looking down at her feet or off to the side. Their body language screams that there is tension between...
Is she just short as hell, or is she just like tall? I'm like, goddamn. Yeah, the size difference is a little. It's throwing me off. Like, yeah, she might just be little as hell. Then both. She just little as hell and she tall. Okay.
Between them, and these assumptions.
Like her collarbone is literally where her like forehead starts. And her shit is like, bitch, she. I'd be like, you looking down on me? The fuck?
Would be proven true. When Disney released the official trailer for Snow White, Rachel thanked the fans for their support, receiving over 120
Picked her
million
ass up like
views
Emma
in
Stone.
24 hours. She used that big moment
Emma
to
Stone.
make
Emma
a
Frost.
political
Why'd I keep calling her
statement
Emma
and
Stone?
always remember, Free Palestine. While some saw this as an honorable act of solidarity, others interpreted it as a jab at her co-star. Gal Gadot is Israeli and even served in their military. Gal has been outwardly supportive of her country, specifically posting support for the IDF and civilian hostages.
I didn't know anything about her either until like after this 13 minutes, and I was just like, yeah, I can see why people don't fuck with her. Well, she kind of like really bombed that movie, and yeah, she put a sour taste in people's face and people's mouth for real. The fuck? But yeah, I guess. All right. Yeah, she is tall.
Taken during the October 7th Hamas attack. Almost immediately, Gal began getting a concerning amount of death threats. Things got so bad that Disney had to hire a personal security detail for Gadget. One of the Disney producers, Mark Platt, flew from Los Angeles to New York to have a personal crisis talk with Zegler. Platt had to remind her how much was at stake with the movie and her career before asking her to post heedfully. The son of the Disney producer was criticized online for his father trying to reprimand Zegler, to which he responded, "Yeah, my dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, and her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires, at the risk of all the colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged. Now, Rachel Zegler cannot necessarily be held responsible for the actions of other people. After all, her and her co-star are doing the exact same thing, they are just expressing support for opposite sides. But all of this could have been avoided if they just left politics out of a children's movie. But Zegler was insistent.
I was about to say, what the fuck does this all have to do with the movie itself? Yeah, just that. Yeah. I'm gonna say, what does this have to do with anything? Couldn't leave that aside and just answer a regular question?
Insistent on making her political opinion heard at any
What's
opportunity
crazy is
she
the Pope was
could.
in the upper room.
For Kamala Harris. And it's actually non-negotiable. Our rights are on the line, folks. Our reproductive rights. Come on.
Niggers!
And if you...
She didn't say that. Bro, I'm recording this. She didn't say that. That's crazy. You gonna make people hate her even more, dog. That's nuts.
you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button.
That's crazy, bro.
No need your business.
And what better time than immediately after the election of President
Just
Donald
go
Trump?
on.
She posted on her
Right, I'm
Instagram
about to say,
story,
bro.
I find myself speechless in the midst of this.
Yo,
Another
you
4
about to
years
make
of
niggas hate her even
leading us
more.
towards a world I do not want to
That's
live in. Leading
crazy.
us towards a world that
I got
will be
nothing to
hard
do with
to
that.
raise my daughter in. She doesn't have a daughter, by the way. Leading us towards a world that will force her to
fucking
have
wild.
a baby she doesn't want. Leading us towards a world that is fearful. I shouldn't be this shocked, but I am. I am heartbroken for my friends who awoke fear this morning, and I am here with you. To cry, to yell, to hug, to wax poetic on how the left continues to fail us in forging a new path forward. This loss should not have been, and it certainly should not have been by so many votes. May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. This sent the media into an all-out frenzy, particularly conservative media, who were shocked that Disney was allowing their star to publicly condemn half the country.
Hello, Disney. You're going to have to redo your film again because this woman is a pig and you fired Gina Carano for far less than this nonsense.
Rachel finally crossed a line. Disney was officially fed up with her and decided to take action. First, I'm assuming, they made her apologize because she redacted her comments she made
Made her apologize? What do you think Disney did? Pull it up.
about the election. From there, Zegler reportedly began working with a social media guru paid for by Disney to vet any posts before the film's March 21st debut. They essentially had someone monitoring her social media so she wasn't able to sabotage the film any further.
And if you fucking with anything, you quit fucking lying.
The film
Before I bought your
officially
fucking ass.
Dang. Oh wait, are you back from your lunch break? I'm still around being a W mod and everything. And yes, I'm here. No scam. You know, I'm doing it. But yeah, yo, imagine that shit, bro. You gotta have somebody monitor your social media just so you don't fucking hoe a movie? Yeah, you're a problem. Lunch break. Oh wait. It's almost 4 in the evening. You're a horrible mind. That was 10 a.m. Oh. I mean, how's your day? That's what I meant to say. You're a horrible mind. How's your day? I'm doing it. I'm minding good.
Released in theaters worldwide.
Just doing a little
on March
reactions, that's all.
21st,
Knocking them out.
2025. There was a slight chance that all this negative publicity would actually draw
Oh.
more attention to the film. Increased ticket.
I got our pizza, the same one today. I forgot to post a picture in Discord, but I ate half of it. And they was real skimpy on the jalapenos today. I ain't gonna lie. Oh yeah, I seen that. I said yeah, I think that's when I was I ain't gonna lie, I was probably stuffing my face. I was eating pizza. Yo, they was, yeah, I looked at my shit, I was like, hold on, bro. I was saying, this shit good, but it's only like a few jalapenos on this bitch. I'm not gonna lie. Half a pizza. Yeah, I'm about to get the other half, but I was like, I'm not gonna lie. A part of me wanted to just go to my job and be like, hey, look, I'm here for some jalapenos. Mind your business. Because they dead ass skimped me. I'm like, bro, I said put jalapenos on this bitch. I can literally count them. It's like 10. I'm like, y'all niggas is tripping. But yeah, that bitch was bust.
Sales and
employee discount, nigga, I'm just no. 5-finger discounts.
And lead to a successful debut. Unfortunately for Disney.
And I need some more gloves too. And trash bags. Yeah. I'm gonna go there maybe. Wait till I get hungry again.
The opposite happened.
Go re-up on some
Fans knew
shit.
this movie was going to suck way before it ever released, and no matter how many professional critics on Rotten Tomatoes are writing positive reviews, the fans have made their statement with a lack of support. And as a result, Snow White has suffered a disastrous opening weekend at the global box office, earning only $87.3 million worldwide, which sounds like a lot until you realize that it had a staggering $250 million production budget, which some reports suggest is actually closer to $300 million after reshoots and marketing costs. That means they had a whopping 70% loss, making it one of Disney's biggest box office bombs in recent history. This performance is nearly exactly the same as The Little Mermaid. It had the same budget and had a very similar opening weekend. However, The Little Mermaid was actually a pretty good remake with positive reviews. Fans later decided to give the movie a shot, which resulted in a $569 million worldwide box office earnings.
I didn't even see it. I just be seeing clips of it.
For people who actually watch the movie that it sucks,
Their eyes
and then
were
people
so
straight up
wide.
boycotting, I don't think Snow White's gonna get a second wind. This is a bomb. And Rachel Zegler's response to the box office failure was nothing short of delusional.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her.
What?
The Louvre, who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them,
This feels like bad acting too.
that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
People who already thought Zegler was a narcissist have officially confirmed their feelings after seeing this statement. They suspected she was trying to make this film about her. They suspected that she did not care for the legacy of Disney and that all she wanted was the spotlight for herself. And honestly, this
What does it smell
response
like?
makes it seem like those assumptions are now justified. But it's a confusing response because the film was a massive flop. Like, essentially she's saying, haha, my movies are so great, you just have to line up and you have to watch them. But that's not the case. People
I was
are
about to say,
actually not waiting.
no one's doing that at all. They're doing the exact opposite.
in line for this film specifically because of her. And as easy as it is to continuously blame her for the failure of this film, it's only fair to admit that Rachel Zegler's performance was actually decent. She is a great singer, and she definitely performed well considering most of what makes the film actually bad was outside of her control. Like most Disney live-action remakes, Snow White just felt a bit bland and lacked the magic of the original. The CGI looked cheap, the colors are dull and boring, the evil queen didn't feel very evil at all. These remakes often struggle to capture the same charm, making them feel like a corporate cash grab. But since Disney will lose money on this film, perhaps they won't make this same mistake going forward. But the biggest learning lesson for Disney here is that the internet outrage is not fake. When people say, hey, your main character is insufferable and I will not spend my money to see this movie, they're not lying. When people say they genuinely want politics to remain out of a children's movie, they are not lying. And when people say it's better to just invent new stories instead of alter the classics, they are not lying. The people won. The truth is, this film should have never been made. Walt Disney himself was extremely protective of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This was essentially his baby. Walt reportedly rejected multiple ideas for sequels, including a proposed short called Snow White Returns, and was adamant that the original story should not be altered or expanded, as he believed Snow White was a standalone masterpiece that should remain untouched. And it's extremely evident that Disney should have honored their creator's one wish.
Facts, bro. And now look what happened. No one even fucks with Snow White. And Snow White, the story is actually a decent one.